What's up everybody, and welcome back to another action figure review. Today I've got something real special. I'm going to be checking out Neca's Bob Ross from The Joy of Painting. Check this guy out. It is hilarious. I'm so happy to finally be unpackaging him and adding him to the collection.
Hello, I'm Bob Ross, and I'd like to welcome you to the 10th Joy of Painting series. Maybe we'll have a little water in here. This sort of fluffs the cloud. Isn't that fantastic? You can do a happy little cloud that easy, and then cut across so you have a small roll of paint right out on the edge of the knife. I think he's going to live. He is now. Right there. There, you're restricted only by your imagination. Pretend that if you're not careful, your hand will just literally float away.
I've always been inspired by Bob Ross. He makes his wet-on-wet painting technique look so easy to do, and it kinda is easy when practiced enough. Trust me, you can do it too. Now I've painted dozens of Bob Ross inspired landscapes, and each one got easier and easier to do. Let's just say I watched a lot of his TV show, and I mean a lot. What do you guys think of my Bob Ross inspired landscape? Let me know down in the comments. When I found out Neca was releasing this action figure, I just had to go out and pick it up. There's no way I cannot add this guy to my collection. He's definitely one of the goofiest action figures I have, but totally one of the coolest. With all that out of the way, let's take a closer look at Neca's Bob Ross from The Joy of Painting. I am so excited to be doing this, guys. You have no idea. I honestly, I love this. I love this. Yes, yes. Let's go. And here is our Bob Ross action figure in the excellent window packaging provided by Neca here. I am a big fan of this packaging. I love The Joy of Painting, the Bob Ross logo down there. We have Bob Ross himself in the corner. I just love being able to see everything in this packaging. It is absolutely perfect. Let's take a look at the side panel here. Another product shot of Bob Ross here, Joy of Painting. Let's flip to the back, and you can see just how happy Bob is in this picture, and in this picture, and in this picture. And well, you can't see his smile, but I'm sure he's very happy in that bottom right photo as well. We have him here using all the different accessories that this action figure comes with, and we also have a little blurb right here about Bob Ross. And it says, "I look forward to seeing you again. Happy painting. God bless my friend." That's the slogan that he always said before his show ended.
From all of us, happy painting. God bless.
And the little description on the bottom here says, Bob Ross is an American icon whose life and work continue to touch millions of fans across the globe. You've seen him before. He's the soft-spoken guy painting happy clouds, mountains, and trees in about 26 television minutes using big house painting type brushes. His The Joy of Painting show is the most recognized, most watched TV art program in history. Let's flip to the side panel, and of course, another product shot. Bob Ross's happy face down here with the Neca branding. And that's it for the packaging. I am a big fan of this one, guys. So how about I stop talking about the box and bust him out of here? Let's go, guys. Look at this backdrop right here. That is beautiful. That's something I would definitely have this action figure displayed in front of. That is gorgeous. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that once upon a time. And here's our action figure. And man, does he look hilarious. He's not even wearing any socks. Look at this. No Socks Ross. That's his name now. Cool. Now this is an amazing action figure right here, guys. Oh my god, I am blown away at how hilariously cool this is. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at all the details, the articulation on him, and of course, the paint job. I'm actually just floored at how cool and different of an action figure this is than what I'm normally used to seeing. I would not even really consider this an action figure. It's almost like a doll to me because of the soft goods fabric that we have on this guy. He doesn't have all the articulation that you'd want in a figure. He looks great, the paint job looks really good, and the accessories are one of the best parts about this entire thing. Painting on the easel itself looks beautiful. I really love the way that looks, so great job on Neca. I wonder who actually painted that, or maybe it's just a photo of one of Bob Ross's paintings they just superimposed onto this piece of plastic here. It is not a canvas material. If you are wondering, it is a plastic material, so no canvas. Overall, really, really good first impression of this guy. On to the details. I'm going to stick to this wide angle for a moment here, just so we can all appreciate the actual figure in its entirety. But I just love all the details in the sculpt itself. He looks awesome. The boots look fantastic. I love the pants. The soft goods is really, really nice. It's a good material. Doesn't feel like it's going to rip or anything. He doesn't have any pockets in the back of his pants or side pockets or anything. He does have a cute little belt that you can't actually undo. The shirt itself actually is velcroed on, so you can actually take his shirt off, which I will not be doing. The paintbrush is very well detailed with a little blue paint on there, and the paint palette itself is really well done. Actually looks like a palette after he's been, using it a little bit. You can tell from all the little scrapings in the palette. Looks really cool. His face is awesome. Looks like Bob Ross. There are a few issues with the paint job on his face, specifically his beard. I wish they actually paid a little bit more attention to and kind of filled in the spots that have beard sculpted in there. There's some parts on his face that have like a skin tone that clearly is supposed to be part of his beard. Let's just take a look at the easel real quick. I love all the details on here, all the paint smears. Looks really nice and detailed, really gritty looking stand as well. Looks like it's been very used and abused, and there's lots of wear and tear on it. So it looks like he's been using this for the last 20 years of the television program. So that's very, very cool. Now I do love that there's a little platform here where you can actually stick his accessories and the other brushes and the palette knife. It's one of the coolest accessories I've ever had for an action figure. I'm definitely going to be using this in a lot of photos. It's very cool. Here is some close-ups of Bob Ross, guys. I want to know what you guys think of him down in the comments. He looks really, really cool. The soft goods, as awesome as it is to have soft goods on him, it's not really executed properly. You can tell that just by looking at his collar here. Look how funky that is. It's permanently positioned and warped that way, as you can see. It just goes back to its weird normal self. It's not positioned properly on his actual body. So I think that has something to do with it. And there's no way to kind of tuck it down a little bit so it kind of straightens and evens out. Maybe there is. I might actually have to try to tuck it in or push it out a little bit more. The soft goods does look really nice, even though there's some slight issues with it. Lots of good texture in there. A little close-up of the paint palette here. Has that frosted plastic look like in the show. See what I mean by the paint job here on his face? You can see a little bit. Looks like that skin tone color is still supposed to be a little bit more beard. It's not really a big deal at all, especially when you're looking at him from a distance. Let's check out the paintbrush here. Looks really good, like a paintbrush you'd get at Home Depot. I think that's the 3-inch house brush he has in his hand right there. And he also comes with a fan brush and a palette knife. His shoes are also very detailed, surprisingly. Just for being a basic shoe, it looks really good. I would love to have that hanging on my wall for sure. So you can see how gritty and gross it actually looks. Oh, it's awesome. I love this so much. The paint bucket here, or the water bucket, where he beats the devil out of his brushes.
Shake off the excess, and then just beat the devil out of it.
And you just slip it right in there. As always with articulation, we're going to start with his feet first, and we're going to push his pants up so you guys can actually see this here. So he does have mobility in the ankle. There is a ball point in there so he can move it up and down. He can actually rotate his ankle. You can see it rotate a little bit. You can't position it like left or right or anything. So it basically only has movement up and down until you rotate it on one of those angles here. A single jointed knee. It's not double jointed, unfortunately. So that is all as far as we can go with his knee. Little 90-degree action there. And regarding his thighs, that's about as far as we can do the splits. Actually, we could basically do the splits on this guy and he doesn't rip his pants. Check that out. He's giving Johnny Cage a run for his money. Now, you obviously can't see his inner thigh workings here, but he does have a joint where you can actually rotate the entire leg, like so. So you can actually have him standing, sideways like that. So it's really, really nice articulation in the thigh, despite being covered by all this soft fabric here. And he doesn't actually have a toe bend here, which of course, again, I'm not going to complain that he doesn't have a toe bend. Moving on up to his waist, he does have a swivel in the waist. Now you can't really rotate it as I'm rotating him, untucking his shirt, but he does have a swivel. Let's just untuck it. There we go. He does have a swivel in the waist, so you can rotate it 360. He does have a mid-torso rotation as well, so you can rotate just the upper part of his body. And his arms, let's move on up to his arms. He can lift his arms that high, really up to as much as you can, really. He can move it pretty high up. Not bad, not bad. And you can rotate actually his bicep. There we go. I'll try to rotate not the sleeve. You can rotate his bicep right there. You can see it rotating through his shirt. And he does actually have a double jointed elbow. So that's really cool that he has all that articulation in the arm like that. And his wrist, it is on a ball point, so you can move it up and down, rotate it however you want. It looks and works really well. It's not loose or tight at all. Sorry. His hands are actually maybe a little too loose for his accessories. Well, it's easy to fit them in his hands, but they will fall out. No problem. It's not really tight. And if you're not really playing with them and he's just holding a brush like that, it's really no problem. It's when you really start playing with them where the brushes are just going to start falling out of his hand. If you take a close look at his fingers, his index fingers, the one on his right side, he actually has the full finger, and his left index finger is actually missing, or at least half of it's missing, and that's actually true to life. Bob Ross doesn't actually have his entire left hand index finger. He actually lost it, I think, in an accident on a table saw or something. He did lose his finger, so it is actually very cool that we see that there. It does make holding his paint palette a little more difficult, but luckily the plastic is soft enough and malleable enough where you can actually bend his thumb a little bit and kind of slip the painting palette right through there. Let's move on up to his head, and of course it looks awesome. You can spin it all the way around, look up and down, perfect head articulation. Overall, just really good articulation on this Bob Ross action figure. I really have nothing to complain about when it comes down to the articulation. Not one thing at all, and that's probably a first. Check out that six-pack. Look at that. Oh my god, you could grate cheese off that. But there it is, guys. There is his articulation. All right, let's check out the paint job on our Bob Ross here. There's no wet on this guy, that's for sure. Boots are painted really, really nice. Well done, very dark. There's a lot of like dry brushing on there. You can see a lot of that light brown sticking out of that dark brown. Looks really, really good. You can definitely see like hints of red and pink. Maybe for different like skin tone temperatures. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a lot of paint on this hand. When I was putting the paint palette in his hand, I was struggling a little bit, and eventually the paint was just starting to chip off in his hand, so that's too bad. Looks kind of mucky in there now. Same at the back of his hand. You can see all this dirt right there. Let's check out his head. You know what? It is really well done. I did mention earlier I wish they paid a little bit more attention to the beard. If you take a look actually underneath his ear, you can see a lot of imperfections, maybe I should say. It does look really, really good. Nonetheless, you can actually see hints of like pink in his cheek. What they did do a really, really good job on is his eyes, his eyebrows, and his hair. So his eyes are really well done. The pupils are spot on. They don't look janky or off-putting or anything. So his hair is probably the best part. It is actually dry brushed really, really well. Now, this Bob Ross figure does come with some cool accessories, as you guys have already seen. Accessories that I never really expected to have, to be honest, and it'll be cool to include these in some future photos. Not even with this guy, it could be with anything else, but it's cool to finally have the paint palette, the fan brush, the palette knife, and the 3-inch house brush. The paint brushes themselves, the accessories themselves, really well painted. Not a mistake on these guys. The paint job isn't bleeding off on any part of the brushes. Same with the fan brush here. Fan brush looks really good. Nice white handle like the traditional Bob Ross paint brushes and palette knives here. Looks really good. I love the titanium white on that blade right there. The nice paint splashes on this work surface here. As I said, it looks gritty and used and old and worn and torn. As you can see, look at all the weathering on this bucket. Top-notch paint job on this this accessory for sure. That is the paint job on this Bob Ross and his accessories. If there were other accessories that I'd want with this set, it would actually be to have more paintings than this one. Maybe 3 or 4 different paintings. Hell, even 2 paintings would have been really cool. Just so you can swap it out. Even if it was reversed and you just had to flip it, it would be actually really cool. Because it might get a little boring just looking at the same thing. It would just be nice to refresh the painting. But honestly, you can just print off your own little painting using a printer and stick it on there. Bam, it's a whole new Bob Ross painting done. So as for issues and gripes, well, I do wish that these hands, first and foremost, were able to hold the palette, the paint palette, and the paint brushes. That is probably the worst part about this action figure, that it is very hard to actually stick this in his hand. It does look really good once it is in his hand though, but the brushes themselves, they're just too small, too thin to for him to be able to hold the brushes, right? It just slips right through like that. Doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good as a toy, as an accessory. This is probably the best brush. It's a nice thick handle, and it still slips through real easily. So let's get on with the nitpicking. The shirt right here, I wish this wasn't happening, right? You see that collar right there? Wish that wasn't a thing. I wish it folded out nicely. And speaking of soft goods, you can actually see some of his clothing, the soft goods part, starting to furl right there. You see all that? But let's face it, this is a Bob Ross toy. I'm not disappointed, to say the least, whatsoever. Next up, we're going to take a look at some action figures next to Bob Ross for some size comparison, starting with Shao Kahn. So there he is. Shao Kahn is the biggest of the Mortal Kombat action figures, and we have the Super 7 Raphael. And one last comparison, we're going to take a look at Neca's Donatello from the Ninja Turtle film. So Bob Ross does stand pretty tall for an action figure, because these Ninja Turtle action figures are quite a good size to begin with. So this is quite a large action figure. So my overall opinion on this Bob Ross action figure is, guys, of course, I cannot say he's a bad figure. He's actually really, really good. He has, well, he looks great. The sculpt is absolutely perfect. He has that Bob Ross resemblance. He looks like him. His articulation is top notch, even though this is a Bob Ross action figure, and I can't imagine posing him in crazy superhero-esque poses or anything. I do really love the paint job on his easel accessory, as well as his face and the paint palette, especially the easel accessory. That painting that's on there looks absolutely beautiful. The rest of his accessories are really nice as well. I love the detail in them, and I love the little paint dab that's on the end of the bristles and on the palette knife. He is very much out of the ordinary of action figures that I would have in my collection. I never thought that I would ever have a Bob Ross figure. I can only imagine the expression and happiness on his face if he were to be holding his very own happy little self. Alright everyone, thanks for checking out my review of Neca's Bob Ross from The Joy of Painting. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like, comment down below, and let me know if you have this figure and what you like or don't like about it. What's your favorite thing Bob paints? Is it fluffy clouds, almighty mountains, wondrous waters, charming cabins, or happy little trees? Let's start a conversation down there, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're into action figure reviews. I'll be posting more photos of Bob Ross on my Instagram, which you can check out at Claudio_Paola, so follow me there for more content. Thanks again for watching, and you can catch me in the next one.